All right, guys. So right now we're streaming on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I got my guy Jason Aponte on here. I'm going to get him in here in the live on IG. Once he gets here on IG, we'll get this thing rocking. Let's go. All righty. There he is.
What's up, Brad?
What's up, Jason? How you doing today?
I'm great, man. How's everything with you? It's been a fun day of watching some backpedaling. I'm sure we're going to get into that a little bit.
We absolutely are, because we're going to absolutely have to talk about quarterbacks today, because that's going to be the main topic of discussion for the next 3 weeks. So let's get right into it. You mentioned it. You mentioned the backpedaling. What are you seeing? What are you hearing that would make you say something like that?
It's really funny. I wake up today and people who have been pounding the table for Mac Jones all of a sudden are, oh, but wait, Justin Fields is my number 2 quarterback in the draft. And you know, effusive praise all over the place. It's just really funny to me how quickly these things happen. And you know what? I am going to pat myself on the back, because I've been telling everyone who's been earshot of me, stop listening to the nonsense. Let me tell you something. Generating content right now, the way to do it is to be controversial. It's not to be, you know, if someone puts out something that says Justin Fields at 3, everybody doesn't bat an eye, nobody's going to be controversial. But say that Mac Jones goes at 3, now you got everyone all over your stuff. And man, I don't know, bro. It's a lot of backpedaling that I'm seeing right now. Emmanuel Acho today woke up and you know how some people, you see how people wake up and they choose violence. This man woke up and told facts, like absolute facts today. And I know I don't listen to those guys a lot, because basically a lot of the takes that they have are half cooked. Guys aren't really fully developed in their thoughts and everything, but he kind of just nailed it about the narrative around Mac Jones and what the narrative around Justin Fields is and why that makes no sense in any way. And he just went crazy. If you guys haven't seen it, you know, JT O'Sullivan was on PFF. His number 1 quarterback, Justin Fields.
I love JT, man. I've been watching JT since last season when he's doing in-season breakdowns of these guys. He's been on Justin Fields since last season. That's it. This isn't something new for him. He's definitely been on it, and he's really driving, being a leading voice in some of the narratives behind the situation, and just seemingly driving out of control at this point. I did think it was hilarious how Matt Miller, who was the one who put out the article with the 95%, you know.
And guess what he's doing today? He's on ESPN, but Justin Fields has always been my second. Yo, Mac Jones isn't the pick. Sorry for anybody out there that thinks that. It's not the pick, and I just want to prepare you so you're not disappointed. Also, make sure you give the people who have been on the right train their flowers immediately when the pick comes through.
Of course. I mean, there's going to be a lot of us who are going to be extremely happy if the 49ers go ahead and they select Justin Fields at 3. It's going to be a very interesting situation, though, if they do turn out to be right, which we don't think is the case. But it will make up for probably the most epic reaction video of all time.
That's what I'm a little bit nervous about. I'll be honest with you. I'm doing a live show, and I'm going to try to keep it together, because, yes, you want to be professional and everything. But, you know, oh, man, I get scared, you know, of that scenario. I don't think that's what's happening, but I'm just going to put my head down, I think, like on the table. And just, you know, but, hey, I think, honestly, that's what's going to be the best part about this. That's what makes this all exciting. And, yeah, man, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some other things that are going on in 49ers world other than QB talk? Is there anything else out there
how did you get away from QB1 Nate Sudfeld coming in? Like we've been looking for our quarterback. We've been looking for our quarterback, and this whole time, and he was just there this entire time. No, seriously, here's a serious thing. His guaranteed money is kind of a tip-off that he's not a camp body. It's $250K guaranteed, but for me, that doesn't scream camp body. That screams another backup. So I don't know whether that either lends to Jimmy could be moved or their plan, but I thought that was a little bit telling, honestly.
I kind of feel like it's more telling for like a quarterback like Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson was added late last year. Honestly, Josh Johnson got me a little excited because of his build and how he plays quarterback. Because at that time, I was scouting Justin Fields actively.
Mhm.
So when I saw that they signed him, I was like, I wonder if Kyle's like trying to get a little heads up with the quarterback that has not the same tools or but just kind of similar in the mobility that they have, because Josh Johnson doesn't fit really the mold of a Josh Rosen, a Jimmy Garoppolo. So I always thought that was an interesting signing when they brought him on. So, but honestly, you said it, that you always have to look at the money. The money tells you everything you need to know about who these players are, what they mean, and what have you. So Sudfeld, who does have the experience with, I always destroy his name, Rich Scangarello over there in Philadelphia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not gonna lie, like I own Wentz dynasty stock, so that's forced me to watch a lot more Eagles games than I'd like to admit, and I've watched a lot more Nate Sudfeld than I'd like to admit. I've rostered him because he was my handcuff at one point. So,
Right.
But at least with Sudfeld, you have seen moments where he's came in and he's
Super Bowl champion Sudfeld.
Nailed it. So he has shown moments of promise where he has looked decent in very limited opportunity. But again, you look at the money, you look at the current quarterbacks on the roster. Do you think that has anything to say with Jimmy Garoppolo? Or are you more along the lines that's just, maybe more indicative of Josh Rosen and Josh Johnson than anything else?
I think that, you have enough time right now where you bring somebody on. The thing that kind of tips me off to him being on the roster is the guaranteed money. Josh Rosen, I believe, was he signed to a futures contract or something like that? If that, I can't remember off the rip. I don't know if that's the case, but I just think that, you can't really count on Nick Mullins. You don't know. You're just trying to bring in as many guys, and who knows? I think another thing is you have to hedge your bets with how COVID is about to affect this next year, whether it does or not. So you're probably going to want to keep 3-4 guys around just in case. And Nate Sudfeld does have ties to Scangarello, has been a backup in this league, understands, how to play quarterback, to a degree. Right. Again, he's a backup. I can't stand when people slam backups. Oh, he's not good. Well, that's why he's a backup.
He's a backup.
When backups play more, it's usually not a good thing.
Right.
But I think it's more just about having as many options as you can, just in case. And who knows what we'll see between Josh Johnson, Josh Rosen, if Jimmy's going to be on this roster, and whoever they draft. So, it's kind of smart to hedge your bet in that way, just because you don't know, whatever. Everybody's getting vaccinated, but who knows what's going to happen during the season? Like, the 49ers had a game where nearly everybody was off the roster just based off COVID. So, it's not the worst thing in the world to have another extra body around, especially somebody that has been in the league before.
Right. And the 49ers typically go into camp anyways with 4 quarterbacks. They have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. We anticipate there will be 5 come the draft. So you would have to assume one person is going to be the odd man out. Who that is, we'll find out. We will find out.
Put the tinfoil hat on and starting to try to cross the names off, man.
That hat it's in. You can't see it. It never leaves. It is always there. It never leaves me. But we got some other news today. So with Ronald Blair. Jeez, there we go. Woo, Ronald Blair, pending a physical, could be back. What are your thoughts on that?
Rotational defensive guy. Love what I saw when he was on the field. I mean, you'll never catch me talking bad about adding to your defensive line as far as depth. And, if they're confident that he feels good, the 49ers have had a pretty good track record lately, I want to say, about taking chances on guys coming back from injury. Look at Jason Verrett. There's other examples that, guys have bounced back. So I like it, man. I like him as a fit. He plays well whenever he does play. Obviously, you can say this for half the roster when healthy. He's productive. So, yeah, I like it, man. I'm glad that he's back. And if, you get something out of him after losing, Kerry Hyder, DJ Jones is back. So that's good. Just the bodies thing. It's more about fresh bodies and more about guys who flashed. And he did when he played. So I love it. I'm glad that he's back, honestly. And it can't be for much money either. So it's low risk. And, when you bring back, it's all about continuity. This front office clearly went into this offseason with a plan of bring back as many of our guys as possible. And, let's put ourselves in the best spot flexibility wise for the draft. At 12, you weren't really tipping your hand, because you had all of these guys coming back. Now at 3, obviously it's out, the secret's out, but you wouldn't be able to move up to 3 if you didn't solidify everything else, around on the defense and on the offense. So I like it, man. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those signings that's low risk, high reward if it pans out. Obviously, he's a guy who's been in the locker room. He fits. The fans, have not a bad thing to say about the player and what he's been able to contribute. I mean, you think about the injury where he went down sacking Russell Wilson. I mean, so he hasn't done anything, to the fan base that we would not be excited to bring him on
for sure.
But I do think it's again an opportunity where you've seen the defensive line. We got 2 guys coming back off of injury, Bosa, D Ford. That's not a guarantee. I mean, we saw Bosa running today. I don't know if you got to catch that video. Did you see Bosa?
I did, and I had to open a window. It got a little hot in my house, man. That guy looks like he's ready to go, man. Honestly, man. He looks in shape, man. That guy's an Adonis. What are you about to say about Nick Bosa? Nothing.
I was just you can. I was just super excited to see him running again. I mean, obviously, anything we've seen up to Bosa this far has just been primarily rehab. So that was the first time that we got to see Bosa, actually running. So that's been a lot of fun. So we're getting some questions in the chat here.
Sure.
It seems like some people would like to know our thoughts on Jalen Hurd. I'll let you kick it off. What do you think about Jalen Hurd? Kind of what he's gone up, what's happened to him in this career, and what do you think reasonable expectations are for him in 2021?
So I like the idea. I like the fit. And I keep saying this over and over. Every time I see Chase Claypool catch a touchdown or run one of those end arounds, I'm like, man, that's what Jalen Hurd's supposed to be. That's exactly what they were looking to do with him. And I see exactly, right, what they were trying to do. Right. Injuries, man, it's tough. With the injuries, that's the part that's going to, put people in a bad spot, honestly. And again, for about half of the roster, it's about if healthy. But if he is healthy, and he does anything, and he's productive, and he's able to be that number 3 slot receiver, hybrid positionless football guy that they were looking to use him for. My God, the what's the Michael Jordan saying? The one that he botched the ceiling is the roof or something like that. Like he's just trying to right. But something like that, but just better, honestly. But the thing is that so you set expectations,
right?
I would set my expectations to 0. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. The reason that I'm saying that is because injury history across, from before he got to the 49ers, people forget that when he left Tennessee, it was because some Alvin guy came to play running back for them.
Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Alvin and Kamara.
Alvin and Kamara. Oh, only one of the best running backs in the entire NFL right now.
So you guys are acting like he got booted for, Tom Nobody. Alvin Kamara's a stud, right? And then he went on to Baylor, but the injuries had been happening before, and so here's the thing. It's the same thing with D Ford. Expect nothing, and if he gives you something, then it's all gravy on top. And if he's able to play, then it's invaluable. But you shouldn't set your watch to it just because of the injury history. So I would throw caution to anybody who is expecting Jalen Hurd immediately to step in and do something coming off these injuries.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. I don't think there's any way, like even going into last season, I had high hopes for him. Obviously, we're hyping him up quite a bit. I honestly had him as a potential breakout for us in 2020 because of Deebo Samuel's injury, Brandon Ayuk coming in as a rookie. It seemed like he had the perfect opportunity to kind of slot into the Deebo Samuel role, right? As the running back, former running back at Tennessee, wide receiver at Baylor. There was an opportunity to see some electric stuff out of him. But unfortunately, has gotten hurt 2 years in a row. The first one was a back. Second one is an ACL. Obviously, if we get production out of Jalen Hurd in year 3, that's huge. But as you know, putting your GM cap on, right, and having to build out the roster, you probably have to go through this process, assuming that Jalen Hurd isn't going to contribute. And that's just, the unfortunate situation of the matter. We have no idea how he's going to bounce back, if he gets hurt again, what have you. But if he does, and he does come back, then that's just great news. Then everyone's happy in that situation.
Yeah, so, like you shouldn't be looking immediately to him to step up. I see the fit. I understand that he's a baller when he's on the field. And look, my dynasty shares, I'm holding on for dear life. Honestly, I thought I was getting a steal. At the end of the draft, people weren't grabbing him, and I would love to see the kid succeed. Like I said, with again, I keep bringing it back, man. When I see Chase, every time I saw Chase Claypool catch a touchdown, I was like, God, that's exactly what they wanted to do with Jalen Hurd, and how dynamic that could be, how useful that could be. Because they, so the way the Steelers ran their offense, Claypool profiles as Hurd. Deontay Johnson runs like those intermediate routes. So let's just say he's Deebo. Mm-hmm. No, Juju might be Deebo. I think Deontay Johnson's just a little bit miscast as far as what he does. It's just that they run a lot of those arrow routes straight off the line of scrimmage, and that's why he's like a reception hog, because all his A dot is really, really, is really short. Juju probably lines up a little bit more with that intermediate stuff, because I think Deontay is a little bit better of a route runner, but I can see the parallels between those three guys and like Ayuk, Deebo, and Chase Claypool. In terms of how they would look fully functional.
Right. And so with that being said, too, we obviously understand that there's likely going to be some other wide receivers who probably aren't going to be re-signed. I've actually talked to Trent Taylor a little bit. He mentioned that he would be a little surprised if he would return. I don't think you can rule out the possibility, because, again, you never know. Before he's not signed right now, and if it works out that he comes back and he fits on the roster, it could happen. I think he's kind of bracing to land somewhere else. Do you see an opportunity for a player that's coming out of this draft to fit that kind of wide receiver role, wide receiver 3 role, fill in for Kendrick Bourne, and do some of those things? I know you wanted Curtis Samuel. I know you wanted that.
I wanted Smokey Brown too. I wanted AJ Boye. I wanted a lot of things. I got none of what I wanted at all at this point. The only thing I can get what I want now is that Justin Fields falls. But
right.
Wide receiver 3, honestly, man, and this is just later on. I don't know if his stock is too high right now, but Amari Rodgers is one that you can see profiling, just like remember, he's running those Deebo slants. I mean, those Deebo sweeps while we're in mobile.
He looks like Deebo.
Yeah, I was like, there goes Deebo. Right.
Yeah.
Amari Rodgers is somebody, Frank Darby. There's other guys, you guys have touched on it. You and Jordan touched on it. You guys are much
Demetric Felton.
Like yep. Kadarius Toney is visiting with us. That could be electric if that's something that happens.
What do you think about that? If he's there at 43, do you pull the trigger on that?
Ooh, man, I'd have a tough time saying no to that. But although I just went on Grand Show and said at 43, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a running back come off the board for the 49ers. People didn't really like that. So maybe I'll float that idea to you real quick. Yeah. Look, I don't have any sort of insight on this or anything like that. But what I was talking about was this. If Javonte Williams is on the board at 43, I don't see how the 49ers can not take a hard look at him. My comp for him is Nick Chubb. And what I mean by that is when he has the ball in his hands, he's one of the best runners in the league. That's what Nick Chubb is. He's a top 1, 2, 3 running back with the ball in his hands. And you cannot deny that. Javonte Williams gives this offense some sort of flexibility because, look, I love Raheem Mostert. Unfortunately, injuries have continued to happen. Javonte Williams profiles as a guy who can touch the ball 15, 17 times, take that beating and go, right? And then you have him for cheap for 4 years, while Mostert can still profile as that home run hitter. When Kyle's setting up his jab and he wants to throw that haymaker, he brings in Mostert and he hits you. He's been watching you. He gets the look that he wants and he hits you with it. Javonte Williams can be that early down guy while giving Mostert that chance to stay fresh and hit those home runs. So it's not ideal. I know that people are not going to like that. Also, I just wanted to dispel a quick narrative about Kyle Shanahan not spending for running backs. So let's just look back at the history. Drafted Joe Williams. Drafted Tevin Coleman.
4th round, right? 4th round, Joe Williams. Yep.
Drafted Tevin Coleman when he was in Atlanta. Drafted his father drafted Clinton Portis in the 2nd round. He paid Jet McKinnon. Paid Tevin Coleman again. So, I mean, I know that he's
another one that gets forgotten is they offered Le'Veon Bell, I believe, a guaranteed contract around $38 million. Le'Veon Bell chose not to sign that, which will probably end up being the biggest mistake of his career.
Of his life.
And he decided to go to the Jets, where he got beat out by Frank Gore. So that, like, just along the points that you're saying, they have shown a tendency to either do things in the past that could lead us to where we're going in the future. And then with Javonte Williams, I think an extremely underrated trait that he has is his ability to be a pass catcher.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like, because he does kind of look like Nick Chubb a little bit when he's running, and Nick Chubb doesn't necessarily translate to a great pass catcher out of the backfield. But you watch Javonte, I'm like, okay, Javonte, like you got hands, like you got routes, he can move in space.
How did UNC get both of them, him and Michael Carter?
I don't know. I don't know how UNC gets half of these athletes. It's got to be they're still living off Michael Jordan clout or something, because Diami Brown's coming out. He's going to be a potential high.
That's another one. I see him in the chat too. That's another great one, as well. I mean, but there's a lot of good running backs in here. I'm just talking about, when I look at all of them, Javonte Williams is the one that kind of fits the most, just because you can have him cost control for those 4 years and whatever. If you feel like picking up his 5th, cool. If not, then also cool. Like that's kind of the way the NFL is being run, aside from, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey. It's like you get these guys and then you don't pay them a second contract. You let someone else give them the second contract, and then you start over. So that's really what people mean when they say running backs don't matter. It's not that they don't matter as far as football goes. It's just you kind of have to use them up, for 4 years.
Yeah, it's a tough position, man. They get beat up. They break down. It's just the nature of the position.
That 30-year-old thing is scary. Like when you get to that 30-year-old portion and you hit there, like that's like all of a sudden you're 80.
Look at Le'Veon. Le'Veon was the prototype of like, all right, this is where the league is headed. Like, this guy's legitimate. He's got the vision. He's got the speed. He's got the burst, everything you need. And then all of a sudden, like, goes to the Jets. It's like it all went away. But again, that could just be a mental thing. That could just be all mentality and what have you.
He got his money.
But at least he got his money. But I think it's a really interesting conversation, though, because obviously we're hyper-focused on quarterbacks. But, going into the season right now, we have Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, JaMychal Hasty, and Austin Walters.
Austin Walter, yep.
Yeah, so 4 guys. Let's see. All 4 are undrafted, right? So I think that's part of what fans think of when they think of Kyle Shanahan and his ties to running back. That could change. I mean, honestly, with the reports that came out about JaMychal Hasty, Najee Harris, and some of the comments he made, obviously he's a big 49er fan. He's from the Bay, but he came out and said he's been talking with the Niners almost the most. Now, clearly he's not going to be there at 3, and he's probably not going to be there at 43. Maybe the 49ers move up, try to get their guy.
Don't let Justin Fields and a running back get picked, because I'm gonna be insufferable on Twitter. I'm gonna be like, don't let that happen. I swear, don't let that happen. A lot of people are gonna unfollow me on Twitter because I'm just gonna be standing there posting the Tony Stark gif of boom. Like,
bro, if the 49ers somehow come out of this draft with 2 franchise cornerstone offensive players in the first round, it's going to be wild. Like, even if, Raheem Mostert's still slotted in at that number 1 and you still bring in Najee and Jeff Wilson as a change of pace, and of course, you just always need fresh bodies. We know out of anything with how much we run the ball, you got to have fresh legs. It doesn't matter. An actual rotation benefits what we're trying to do. So it's going to be really interesting. I mean, we're right there at 43. That's probably not going to get it done. We have some tradable assets on the roster right now. We'll see what happens. But the running back conversation is an interesting one because there is also some legitimate running backs that you can find almost at every step of the way. We talked quite a bit about Demetric Felton and his scheme versatility. He's a guy that could come in and, maybe be had a late second, third, but he can, or a Michael Carter.
Oh, don't say his name, man. We're trying to lower his stock. We're trying to lower Michael Carter's stock.
Trying to lower the stock.
Yeah, so he's small. He can't take hits. He's not a scheme fit. That's going to be the narrative that we're pushing. Let's get him to fall.
He's from UNC. He's not pro ready.
They don't produce running backs. They only produce.
He's quicker than fast. He's not a grinder.
It won't translate to the NFL level. Let's get all those stupid narratives together and let's just put them all together.
Superlative we can think of. We're just gonna throw it out there. But on some realness, Michael Carter's legit, and we got to see that live at Mobile. And we were in the end zone when he made that crazy. He pushed the entire pile. And again, you look at Michael Carter, and you're like, yeah, he's kind of small. He's kind of a small guy. But then when you see him in the trash, meaning in between, the offensive D line and trying to navigate and move through there, and the way he initiates contact and moves through contact, I don't see his size being an issue at all.
So that's the thing that we noticed, right? Every time Michael Carter touched the ball, even if it was a 1-yard gain, that first person that was in front of him had no shot to bring him down. None. And whether that's with a move with his feet or just straight up taking the guy's helmet and pushing it out of the way, Michael Carter will not be brought down on the first tackle. So that's all I noticed most of the time. Oh, yeah, 2-yard game from Michael Carter. He shook 3 people out of their boots to get those 2 yards. So I get the play wasn't what you wanted, but that guy is elusive, man. It looks like he's every time somebody tries to put arms on him, they slip. He slides right out. And he's just with the outside zone, with the way that they can get him the ball with, throws behind the line of scrimmage, just a quick, and boom, let him move with the ball in his hands. It's a perfect fit. It is a perfect fit. I see a lot of people in here talking about Puka Williams. I see the fit. Puka Williams can play special teams as well. He can play special teams as well. So that's good. Sports. He could play sports. Yeah. He could play special teams as well. So that really helps. My concern comes in with his background and the domestic violence, I guess, whatever it is, charge. It's his character. It's more that's really what this front office has really staked their claim, aside from, unless they got poor information on Reuben Foster, for the most part, you have to be an absolute culture fit. And the Puka thing is a little concerning. I don't know if it's true. I'm not here to talk about that. But that's the part that probably pushes this front office away from him just because of that incident.
Yeah. And I would have to agree with that. And again, it's really hard not to be shallow when you're scouting because we're trying to observe everything. And I want to be careful with how I say this.
Of course.
I just remember one time he posted a photo of himself to his story. And it was just a 15-second clip, but it was enough for me to be like, oh boy, this guy looks like a head case. I mean, and again, not every book is going to be judged by its cover and what have you, but we've been doing this for quite some time and having to key on those certain things. And then that was before I even knew about the other situations. So again, you learn more, you dig into the character, and you have to take everything for what it is and how you bring it in. And I think you're right. I think there's a lot of concerns with Puka, but when you watch him on the field, wow.
Well, what's the thing that you taught me in Mobile? What's the hardest thing to scout?
Integrity.
That's it, man.
And you have to have that. And it was a lot of fun. We had Eric Davis on the live earlier today.
I saw that.
49ers
crushing
legend.
it, man. And yet, Kittle pull up. Yeah, Quentin Miners, and like you're crushing it right now, bro. Honestly, man.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, we're still working. We got some more. It's gonna be a lit week next week. I got some more announcements coming. Woo. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited working. With who we got. We working, and you're working.
This is a good week. This is a good week for both of us. So you were able to this is like one of the most insane weeks.
You got Haberman.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what.
Yeah, that guy Haberman one was really good and this is a selfless promotion.
Go, bro.
But yes, our interview with Jaquiski Tart is on my YouTube. That was amazing, and Guy Haberman really gave us a lot of insight yesterday into I mean, we all consume Haberman and Middlecoff content. But, the nuggets that he was dropping off, we asked him the tough questions about who he thinks is going to be the pick, what's going on. So that was a great interview as well, too. And he also, at the end, he bust out a bunch of sneakers because he's a sneakerhead like me. And, that was cool. So, I mean, it's been a big week for both of us, man. This is a week that I never thought was possible. Like a year ago, if you would have told me, you'll have a 49ers player on your podcast and you'll have, one of the premier content creators in the football land on. It's just like, how? Like, how would I have done that? So, I mean, and the same thing with you. Like, even when Kittle pulled up, wild, bro. I love your reaction. You're like, what? Like,
it's just like, what's happening? Like, I just seen him like request to join my live, and I was like, no way, bro. Like, no. I was like, I'm not ready for you, Kittle. Go away. I was like, I'm not prepared. I don't know what the hell we're going to talk about. What's going on?
But just a big week, though. Everybody working. That's it. We putting our heads down and we're working. That's it, man. And I think that, like, you and I talk offline all the time. The cream rises to the crop. Real's going to get recognized, and just keep working, man. That's it, bro.
We're just going to keep grinding, and I know you and we're going to keep going, and it's all going to lead up to the draft. It's all going to lead up to the most amazing night in draft history.
Oh my God! Please, Brad. So you got to start a GoFundMe. If we draft Justin Fields, I need bail money. Y'all gotta do something because I'm gonna be in Cleveland. So I'm not gonna be
right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be at the draft day one. I wasn't able to get access, but I'll be there day two. Day one, I'm broadcasting from some local pub. I'm trying to figure that out, but just make sure that you check in on a brother, especially if Justin Fields is the pick, check in on. If it's not, then check in on me. But if it is, then definitely check in on.
The 49er community is going to have to really hold each other up. If I'm not even going to say it because I don't even want to put it out in the universe.
Don't speak that into existence. No, we don't manifest.
I'm not even going to speak it into existence because I feel too strongly that it's going to be Justin Fields at 3. You can't tell me anything else. I don't care. I'm just gonna I talked about this yesterday or the day before. It's just like when we start hearing this noise and the rumors and all of that, just fall back on the tape. At the end of the day, when you hear all the noise, just fall back on the tape. The tape will lead you to the promised land more likely than not, because at the end of the day, it's football guys drafting for the most part. I mean, it gets iffy with the quarterbacks. We understand, on the flip side of that, RG3 was forced on Kyle by ownership in Washington. So it's not always going to be like that. But I think with who we have, we being 49ers fans, who we understand is running the show, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Adam Peters, Jed York being removed from the early, 2010s saga. I think in my view that they're going to make the correct choice that's based best on what's good for them and good for their team and good for their personnel. Not what's good for anyone else, not what's good for selling jerseys, not what's good for that. It's just football. And that's why I lead to Justin Fields.
So that's kind of how I look at, this whole. All right, so not to bring it back to quarterbacks, but let's talk about the Mac Jones stuff.
Yeah.
You expect me to believe that anyone knows what the plans are when no one knew Joe Staley was retiring. They were going to trade for Trent Williams. People said Quinnen Williams was the pick over Nick Bosa. It didn't happen. No one knew they were going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. No one knew that they were trading up for number 3. No one knew that they were trading up for Brandon Ayuk. Now, you expect me to believe that the 49ers traded up to 3 for Mac Jones? Stop listening to the media and listen to your brain. None of that makes a lick of sense. None of it. No. So just focus. You know what? Sometimes the correct answer is the easiest one is right in front of you. People are overthinking it right now. People are also trying to generate clicks. That's it. No one knows. Kyle knows. You know what Guy Haberman said on my show yesterday? The pick has been in for 5 weeks. The problem is you don't know who it is. It's in Kyle's mind. Kyle doesn't need that. That's it. There's 3 people in that building that know. Anybody else is speculating, and they're talking to people who think they know. No one knows, and I'm very, 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 very sure that it's not Mac Jones at 3. Very sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to put, like I said earlier, I always keep the aluminum hat on. It's always on. I'm always thinking conspiracy. It's not how it seems. I go back to Chris Sims' rankings. Chris Sims putting Fields at 5. Do you remember that time and how the narrative changed around Justin Fields based on that ranking? Do you remember how divisive that was? Yeah.
And Kyle had to answer that at the press conference. He's like, yeah, I tell Chris everything. He's like, no, Chris talks about everything, so I tell him nothing. And whether that's true or not, Kyle seemed upset at that question. So that was what was really funny about it. And he also seemed upset that his ideal quarterback, or what everybody has in their mind and think is his ideal quarterback, is Kirk Cousins. Like, he was so upset when that was brought up. And then I just point to the comments. The comments will tell you. So you mean to tell me that Kyle Shanahan has watched Kyler Murray kick his ass, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, and he says, how I'm going to get you back is by getting Mac Jones. No, not a chance. I look, again, I just don't see where this lines up and how this makes any sense. And you're seeing now the backpedaling. You're seeing it all around. Everyone is backing off their Mac Jones takes. Now everybody's like, well, pump the brakes on Mac Jones. No one knows. And every week it's going to change. We almost predicted it on Sunday. Watch it be Zach Wilson now. Boom. Mayoko wakes up on Sunday. Matt, I think it's number 2. It's Zach Wilson. Guys, every week next week is going to be Trey. Next week is going to be Trey. It'll be Trey, and everybody's locked in on Trey. Not that that's a problem. I'm just telling you. This whole and it happens every year. But the reason that 49er fans are freaked out is because they've never been in this position since, last number 3 pick.
Right.
Now, the microscope has got people going crazy and talking now. But it's the same sort of news cycle every single year when it comes to the draft. So, look, Mac Jones is not a bad quarterback. Not at 3, though. You didn't move up to 3 to go get him. That's not it. And anybody who says that that he wants a pocket passer, he wants a pocket passer 80% of the time. You know what? Coach wants to get bailed out. Andy Reid likes to get bailed out all the time. You don't think that Brian Dabble and Sean McDermott don't like getting bailed out by Josh Allen? Kyler Murray is bailing out Cliff Kingsbury on an everyday basis, and there are people out there who think that Cliff Kingsbury is a good coach. Incredible. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. That was my mini rant.
No, I love that. I keep it going. We're getting NY Jason out here.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. So again, back to those rankings that got my head spinning was the way he stacked them up, because I believe it was he put Zach Wilson 1, Trevor Lawrence 2, Mac Jones 3, Kellen Mond 4, Trey Lance 5, and then Field 6. And then obviously that changed the narrative around Justin Fields. It forced people to go into the tape because of everything that Sims said, because Sims was very specific with technical aspects of his game. So it forced people to go back. It changed the narrative. It kind of elevated Wilson, right? To the point where we didn't know if it was Fields or Wilson at that point. But when Sims came out that rankings, it was like the entire national narrative followed his rankings, which then elevated Wilson kind of up to the Jets and then dropped Fields down. And then they make this move. What does Sims say? Oh, it's Mac Jones. It's Mac Jones. Look at my rankings. Like, it's Mac Jones. No, I don't think it is. I think it, again, aluminum foil hat season. I think it's just a way to spin the narrative, spin the public perception to make things a lot easier for certain pieces to fall into place. It became a lot easier to slot in Zach Wilson, like without even thinking about it, to the Jets. It became really easy.
The other thing is, you know, again, he's speculating, right? But Chris Sims has earned enough equity where people need to pay attention to his quarterback rankings. When he had Lamar and Josh Allen as high as he did, no one liked that. And here's the thing. It didn't come to fruition in the first year, right? So what if we after Josh Allen's first year, you were like, oh, look, he's trash. What about the second year? Oh, look, he's not playing well. Well, the third year locked in. So he was eventually right. So he's earned that sort of equity. He has, because he is a smart guy. And he definitely knows how to evaluate the position. And he wants to be a general manager one day. So he's not doing anybody's bidding here. He's putting his reputation on the line because he wants to be a general manager eventually. So I believe him in his analysis. I believe him. I disagree with him. But I can listen to what he has to say and say, okay, I feel you. And you deserve that. Look, if I'm picking lottery numbers every 2 weeks and the third week I start pulling some random numbers, are you going to say, no, I don't know if I could mess with him? I won the first 2 weeks. You got to kind of listen to me. Even if it's wrong, it's okay. 2 against 1. So that's the thing. I respect his work a lot. He's earned that equity to say what he wants to say. And that's it. So, yeah, man, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's going to happen. There's a high likelihood that Justin Fields is going to be either the number 1 or 2, maybe third best quarterback out of here. I just don't think that Kellen Mond in any way is going to be better than him. I just cannot see that. Cannot see that.
No, again, like, I understand, at least, again, we're content creators, right? At the end of the day, that's like what we like to call ourselves. So is he. He's creating content. He's creating clicks. He's creating listens and views for his podcast. Dude, I guarantee you, after he dropped that ranking, that website had never seen an uptick in views and listens like ever before.
For sure.
So on one hand, there is that angle. There's always going to be that angle, especially when that angle is tied to a high level media outlet that is concerned about money and money only. Because the thing that sticks in my side with what Chris Sims said last year about Ayuk and not mocking him to the Niners or bringing him anywhere near his mocks because he knew how Kyle liked him. Clearly, he understands that he can move the needle because, like you said, he's earned that. That you have to earn that to be able to move the needle. So, but again, I take everything with a grain of salt. So I just look at that situation, and again, I see how it's played out. I see what Chris Sims said right off the jump when we traded up to 3. He was one of those guys that was banging the table for Mac Jones at 3. To me, it just feels like Kyle doesn't want Mac Jones or Trey Lance to fall in the hands of a Bill Belichick or the Chicago Bears or someone like that to ensure someone is going to come and get Jimmy Garoppolo. That's just, again, tinfoil hat season.
Yeah, that's all we got right now.
We're looking at it from multiple different angles, and that's just one thing that just I can't shake it. I can't shake it, but we'll see what happens comes, the draft to see if anyone's moved or what happens. But it's going to be going to be lit. The draft is going to be so much fun.
When you look at it now, right? So last year, so many people had Tua over Herbert.
Yes.
How you feel about that now? Not to say that Tua is bad.
I was never saw.
Not you. Not you. I'm sure that I'm not certain. So did you have Tua over Herbert? Like, I'm just talking about
never. I'm just saying I've never been a Tua guy. Like,
Good. So I think a lot of that has to do with what you saw on film, his talent being around him. Because can you name back-to-back wide receiver classes that have been as loaded from one school? Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jacob Waddle, Waddle, and Devontae Smith, Steve Sarkisian, offense,
Najee Harris running back.
Harris, great offensive line. How much of that has to
Landon
do with his
Dixon,
success?
one of the best offensive linemen in college football last year.
How does this not affect the way that you evaluate him? Like, that's my thing, right? And so remember, last year there were a lot of people pounding the table, Tua over Herbert. You kind of look foolish today. You really look foolish in 1 year. You kind of look foolish pretty quickly. So I mean, that's the thing, man. This is what makes the evaluation so interesting. But that Alabama stuff and about who he's been surrounded with and stuff like that. And I get, competition. Oh, he played in the SEC. Yeah, that matters. You need that context about how well that team is built. And it's insane,
right.
Honestly.
Right. And you kind of even look at like a quarterback like Kyle Trask, even like he was a product of kind of a similar situation. I remember watching Florida all season and just being in awe of the talent around him. And just, Kyle Trask put some nice, throws on tape. He really does. But after watching it a certain amount of time and long enough, you kind of see he gets to a point where he's almost just like, oh, Kyle Pitts, bang, and just launches it and rips it.
Are you lefty?
No, I'm righty.
Oh, but
I might be backwards because of the.
Oh, okay. All right. I was about to say. I was like, well,
you're like,
well, it lined up because I think you're one of the smartest guys I've ever met. So like lefties are supposedly smarter and stuff like that. But you're still smart. Like I'm not trying to change.
My wife's a lefty. She carries that title in this household. So we'll let that one.
Smart man. Look at you, Brad. This is what. So that just immediately, Here's a question that I have because you brought up Trask.
Yeah.
And this is gonna set your chat on fire.
Yeah.
If you're big on Mac Jones, how come you're not big on Kyle Trask?
Exactly. So I'll say this. You can tell from a processing standpoint, and again, this term is now getting beat the hell up because of how much it is used as a positive for one quarterback and a negative for another. But you throw on the tape and you're like, what are these people talking about? What are they talking about? Because they're all processing really well. It's just you have different schemes. The things are set up a little bit differently. Obviously, Mac Jones, in my opinion, is running. I mean, Sarkisian stole half of Kyle's playbook. I'm convinced. I'm convinced.
He went to Atlanta and was the OC right after him, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm convinced.
It's almost like, hey, what's the blueprint of what you did? All right, let's just keep that, and we'll just add on some new stuff.
Here, can you learn this and can you implement it? Because the guy that we really wanted is out of here, but we have all his systems still. So can we keep that rolling? So yeah, he's in a system that fits what Kyle does almost to a T and has weapons around him, and he processes the field really well. But it's really easy to process when you have an amazing offensive line in front of you and you can do those kinds of things. And I haven't seen a situation. So, and again, I always go back to this. Part of the reason why I'm so high on Justin Fields is because I've watched him go through the fire and come out the other side. That is huge for me. That is huge for my evaluation. It's huge for emotional intelligence evaluation, the integrity thing that I'm always talking about.
Yep.
That's that. I have not seen that from Mac Jones.
Right.
Yeah. This guy has been a winner from the jump. What happens if Alex Mack goes down, Brunskill goes down? We're now with the Hornets, Grossu, Colton McKivitz set up. And it's, again, a difficult situation to block. And you need a guy who can have some escapability, have the ability to extend plays outside the pocket. What happens when that stuff breaks down?
So real quick to clarify, because I see it in there. I am not saying that Kyle Trask is better than Mac. What I'm saying is all those things that you like about Mac, why aren't you saying those same things about Kyle Trask? Let's take it a step further. Let's really light this chat on fire.
Ooh, let's go.
Let's swap Justin Fields with Alabama, and let's swap Mac Jones to play at Ohio State. You go first.
You go first. Mac Jones would be a dumpster fire.
Oh, would he now? But let me ask you a question. Justin Fields at Alabama would be what?
He would be untouchable.
Undefeated, never lost. LeVar Ball.
He would be the best college quarterback in college football history.
What are we talking about now then? If you can make that comparison, why are we still talking about this? What is going on?
That's the point. Is like you've seen Justin at his absolute worst, lowest, hurt, no offensive lineman, literally he played a game without his coaches because they all had COVID on top of his offensive line and no wide receivers. And he still made it work and still fought. And again, was the only one out there playing like he gave a damn. Yes, did he have bad games? Yes, did he have situations where you see the Northwestern game and you see situations where, yes, he didn't have the best game possible. But I've seen situations where a quarterback like Mac Jones, so that's the thing with the game where Justin Fields didn't have a center. And again, I'm a center, so I'm hyper cognizant of the center quarterback relationship and how important it is. And when the center is snapping the ball and it's constantly here, down here, every single play, you have no idea where it is, and you're running mesh with the running back, and timing is everything. That puts the emphasis on the quarterback and only the quarterback to make sure that play has any chance of being successful. So that's why I watched that game. I watched that situation, and I'm like watching Fields just grabbing these balls all over the place because the center couldn't snap it correctly, but still having to be able to adjust, run mesh, make his reads, hit timing, do all that kind of stuff. You put Mac in that situation, I don't see how he can be successful.
No shot.
Because a lot of what I saw from Justin was him having to rely on those physical traits, having to, like, when everything's breaking down, I watched a guy be like, crap, here we go again. Let me put this on my back and let me make it work the only way I know how. And so, again, you got me fired up because I never thought about it like that. And honestly, if Mac Jones was in that situation, like that game that I'm thinking of, with no center, no guard, no tackle, no coach, no wide receivers, dude, it would be a disaster, absolute disaster. And I watched Justin Fields will his team through that game, and that, like, things like that, to me, sold.
Toughness, man. Crack the rib.
Yeah.
Cracked the rib, said, you know what, you're golden boy. I know I don't play defense. He doesn't play defense against me. I'll play him. Crack ribs. 6 tutties. No problem. No big deal. But, hey, right. He don't want it. He doesn't want it. Character issues. I don't know if he wants to play. I don't know if he wants to play, though. I don't know.
No, he doesn't want to.
I really don't know if he wants to play.
So I was watching Ohio State from their Instagram. They posted like a behind the scenes of Justin Fields' pro day. If you want to know how much of a competitor Justin Fields is and how much he truly cares, go watch him run his 40 in that video, because you can tell he was not happy stumbling out the gates the first time. He
ran a 4.4.
This dude ran a 4.440 and was pissed.
And y'all want to do with the dad bod. I'm lost, bro. I'm lost, bro. Please make it make sense, man. Look, I know there's more than one way I know there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
No. I know there's more than one way.
We're being facetious at a certain point.
No. I'm just joking around. Look.
Yeah.
Mac Jones is gonna be fine in this league. He's gonna be fine. He'll be fine.
Right.
I'm telling you. The problem is again, when you look back at the compensation, moving up to 3, it does not make sense to get. If you wanted to get him, you could have had him at 7 or 8. You can just move up. At 3 doesn't swing. That doesn't sway me to say this is about to be the safe bunt. Suicide squeeze. These guys are swinging for the fences. Now, I'm a big process over results guy. So whatever. Results, I don't control those. What I control is my process. And now that I've seen that you are going to be moving in that way, I applaud the process. And also, one more thing that I want to float out to you, and this was something that was spoken about. Grant Cohn knows how to make me think. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse like that. I don't care what anybody has to say when it comes to that stuff. What if, like Mac gets drafted? Does he beat out Jimmy Garoppolo for the starting position if they don't move him? I say no. I say no. Right. Okay. Now, what if Justin Fields is there? Does Justin Fields beat Jimmy Garoppolo in a competition if he's still there? I say yes. It's hard to watch Justin Fields and what he can do. All right. So go ahead. You have a differing appointment. You have a differing opinion.
So this is my thing. I think it all depends with Justin in that scenario, right? Mm-hmm. Of how well his grasp is of the offense. Mm-hmm. From a physical standpoint, arm talent, all the things that we love about Justin Fields, the only thing that I would have concern about is just how quickly he picks it up. Because I can imagine that, the scheme that was run at Ohio State, I know Rich knows quite a bit about it. He talks a lot about how some of the concepts are just like, they're kind of weird.
So it's a lot of choice routes, and guys aren't declaring, because I got a chance to look at a little bit of their install, like not too much. Getting college stuff is like the holy grail of stuff. So if like you get all 22, someone has to drop off a bag. But I was able to get my hands on some of the. It's seriously like dropping off the bag.
Yeah, there's like a black market for all.
For sure, honestly, you just have to like link with somebody. The only reason I got it is I met someone on Clubhouse who dropped off the bag, and he was like, "Yo, what's your email?" And he dropped off everybody's, so I was able to go through it. Like I was just like, "How?" But I'm not even gonna ask. The problem is, I don't even know where I was going with that, honestly. The problem is that, damn it, what was I just gonna say? What were we just talking about?
So we're talking about the concepts that Ohio State ran.
Yes, perfect. So
and how they maybe not translate as well to Kyle's scheme.
So Day, the head coach or whoever's calling the plays, right? We know him very well because he used to be with the 49ers during the Chip Kelly era. Everything's downfield. So everything takes a while for it to develop. Okay. Right. And also when it's these choice routes and they're not declaring quick enough, this is why people, when they say Justin Fields holds the ball too long, I don't think you understand what's going on with the concepts. I don't think you understand what's going on with the choice routes. So it's not like he's just holding the ball, patting it, and doesn't know where to go. If that receiver isn't declaring fast enough to get the ball out, then he can't throw it in anticipation because he doesn't know where he's about to go. And then everything else is downfield. It's never anything that there's very little quick game. Everything's just down the field. Now, when you compound that with the games like Northwestern, Indiana, where those guys really get after it and their offensive line struggled, those are the times that you'll see Justin Fields struggle because there's so many guys in his face. There's literally the centers backed up right into his lap. And one thing that I could say there's a negative, here, Justin Fields relies on his athleticism. He does. And that's a good thing. But also in the NFL, I'd love to see you live to play another down. Throw that ball away. Get down in time. But that's only because he can make plays like that. And he wants to do things like that. But again, all that stuff needs to be taken into context when you guys are evaluating. And I don't think people understand that portion of it because it's a very, very, very important piece of the story. It's not, it's just, especially when people tell me he's a one-read quarterback. When did you see that? Show me when you saw that. When? I mean, it's either you're just regurgitating something that somebody else said, or you really don't understand what you're looking at. And
because I want to know who started that narrative. Can we go after them?
I don't know, man. I mean, like yesterday I posted. So what was it? I believe it was Todd McShay said in his first 200 passes, he had 7 that went to a second read. Well, first of all, I don't even know if you know what the second read is, so that's hard for you to chart. But I pulled up 8 from the semifinal game alone. 8 in the same game and here's how you know the reads are going on. Just watch the back. His helmet is going here, here. That's how you know he's going through reads. Watch the helmet, the back of the helmet. So really, when these national guys and they're spitting their late, that's what JC O'Sullivan went crazy on New Year's Day, on April Fools, man. Lazy, what is it, like arms? He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, he's like, he doesn't have it. It's just. Look, I'm not gonna kill anybody for not understanding the concepts because I'm fairly new to it myself. I've just done a lot of digging. But it's just like, man, if you want to spit out opinions, please at least come from a place that's like, don't talk to me about OSU doesn't, bang out quarterbacks. Don't talk to me about, when people say he's run first, that's how I know you haven't watched a thing. You have not watched a thing. That man's a pocket passer. And
that dude
anytime
will kill you from the pocket.
If you give him time, anytime that he's ever had time in the pocket, he's gonna kill you. And that's it. So again, man, I don't know where these narratives come from, bro. It's like almost like
also,
man,
even too, like when the pocket collapses, he has the technique time and time again to maneuver in, up, throughout the pocket. Like he feels pressure. He feels pressure while keeping his eyes downfield, locked on his target, and is able to maneuver throughout the pocket. He doesn't get, scared and spin out. He steps into the pocket. If he's feeling pressure coming from the backside from his right, he's stepping up into the pocket to the left if it's available. He's only spinning out if there's nowhere to go. So again, the narratives, they're wild because you can disprove almost every single one, and they have been disproven, and that's why we're still talking about. That's why we're still talking about it. Man.
So that's what JT O'Sullivan was talking about. That it's just lazy, right? So he was basically talking about Orlovsky saying, I've been hearing, I've heard the whispers, and that's why Orlovsky got so much hate that he had to walk it back immediately the next day and say, this is what I heard, and blah blah. And now, peep Dan Orlovsky's Twitter. Just look at the video clips he continues to post.
He's a Justin Fields stan now. After reaching out to some coaches at OSU to actually understand who this guy was, he's like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Is this your king? Are these your kings?
Is this your king?
Is this your king? Are these your kings? Can we stop with the talking head crap? I swear, man. It's nothing for it's all entertainment. That's it. But these back pedals, you're going to see it all week. You're going to see it all week. Everybody who has been big on the Mac Jones over, whoever, you're going to see it. And when you see it this week, by the time it gets to draft week, everything will be centered on Fields at 3, and everybody's going to be like, oh, there it is. Oh, well.
You better hope your name isn't on that receipt list because, boy, they're keeping the receipts. And I think that's what's actually kind of cool about what's happening is because the talking heads their feet are being held to the fire like never before. Because it's clear as day. Any person who has actually dug into the tape, put their eyes on both quarterbacks, understand what the true story is. They are able to put into context all the talking points that keep being pushed in our face. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
We're keeping the receipts on them. Man, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in Cleveland, man. My bookmarks are littered. If you've ever said anything wild to me, right? Because I gave you a little glimpse, right? I pounded the table on my podcast about you need to move up, stop messing around. And this was before all that Deshaun Watson stuff was out there. I always felt like this was the best way to do it because you would have been able to get more for less because he's cost control. So when I got that right, I was like, boom. And I started looking in those comments and I was like, okay, now let's get petty. You better talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice if Fields gets picked.
Where's my respect?
Yeah, I mean, people have said some nasty things to me on the internet. I just let it go because, morons are morons and you got to let more. It's better to be moron than more off. That's the saying. So I'm good with it. But if I get a drink in me afterwards, I'm not going to show mercy, I don't think, man. And I hope people start to clean up their act. You better delete those tweets. Delete them fast.
You better delete them now because they're bookmarked. Jason's ready to come for your throat.
Niners, NW. Do I watch highlight film? Stop it. You're playing yourself right now. Honestly, man. Just stop, bro. Just chill out a little bit. Yeah.
these they're acting up.
That's cool.
Mac Jones
he wants Mac Jones. That's cool. You could want, wanting, you can want whatever you want. I want a lot of things. I want to have $1 million in my bank account. I want Rihanna to answer my DM. Neither of those things are going to happen.
I honestly feel like, and we're going to talk about things that aren't going to happen. I honestly feel like there's a better chance Trey Lance is the quarterback over Mac Jones.
Fine with that.
And Mac Jones.
Fine with that.
Again, it just all like what, but again, another narrative, right? Pro ready, right? Dude, I wish I had the stat in front of me. Someone dropped a juicy stat on Twitter, basically talking about the quarterbacks that have only started X amount of games before, I think it was being drafted in the first round or what have you. And it was like this list of, it was like 18 games or less, which Mac Jones and Trey Lance both fit into. And the names above it were horrid. And again, I can't remember. I wish I had the tweet in front of me because it was a banger. It really was a good one. But again, it's to kind of go against the counter narrative that Mac Jones is pro ready just because he played in the scheme he played at, because he went to the school that he went to. And, that could be the case. But you could find out really quickly that what you thought you were getting wasn't as advertised if you're landing in an organization that is piss poor in regards to talent and just overall organizational, logistics and just how do you run a franchise. Josh Allen is successful. A huge reason he's successful is because he landed with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills was a perfect place to build around him, nurture him, work through those first, second, kind of difficult years, because when you watched Josh Allen, the talent was there. But what wasn't there was some of the decision making, the processing, and just being careful with the football.
And Brad, he went to Wyoming. Remember, Wyoming quarterbacks are never good.
Wyoming quarterbacks are never good. Hey, tell me the last Texas Tech quarterback that was any good before Patrick Mahomes.
Tell me the California quarterback that was as good as Aaron Rodgers. Tell me the Purdue quarterback that was as good as Drew Brees. Tell me the quarterback that was good before Joe Montana at Notre Dame. Do you realize how stupid that sounds as an argument? It's the laziest and dumbest argument that anyone can make. Anyone.
Yeah, and dude, we got Eric Davis in the chat.
Eric Davis, this is a huge throw, man.
Three-time Pro Bowl, three-time All-Pro.
I grew up watching Eric Davis play ball. This is a huge throw right now, honestly, man. I really, really am excited, man. This is incredible.
Cool, bro. Yeah, I'm so pissed that our chat from earlier today got
You'll make it happen
crucified by Instagram crashing. God, stupid Instagram. This app, I swear, it's gonna be the end of me. But again, the point was, Eric Davis was one of the. I mean, he on the '94 Super Bowl team that won it all. Him and Prime. I mean,
I remember that. That's the one that I remember. I know. I'm sorry, Brad. The younger 49er fans, y'all have dealt with so much pain. Me, I dealt with the pain, but I got glory when I was pretty young.
You got the glory first.
I did get the glory. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a youngin. But the point was my guy ED. He's a D2 kid, and look what he turned into. Again, you can't scout the school. You can't scout any of that stuff. Like, you just have to scout the person, and they have their own individual context. They have their own individual background. They have their own individual family life that develops into who they are and how they will translate into the NFL.
One more question.
So, yeah.
Another portion of this evaluation process that is making me upset. Trey Lance is inexperienced. Zach Wilson's only played a year.
Right.
Mac Jones has only played a year.
Dude, it's
make it make sense.
Weird...
How is one criticism for one player the criticism, but not a criticism for everybody else? If you have an issue with Trey Lance, he didn't play this year, but if you have an issue with Trey Lance only playing 1 year, why don't you have an issue with Zach Wilson playing 1 year? Why don't you have an issue with Matt Jones only playing 1 year? We realized Justin Fields transferred, and I'm tired of people telling me that he couldn't beat out Jake Fromm. Just because a coach is dumb enough to start Jake Fromm over him doesn't mean that he got beat out. So we're just crushing all narratives today. Let's just crush all the narratives. Let's crush them all because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Why isn't one for somebody and one negative for somebody, not a negative for everybody else? Mac Jones couldn't beat out Tua, right? That's a narrative. No. Sometimes the coaches make decisions. That's it. And I'm tired of people telling me that one person, because he's inexperienced, shouldn't be the pick when someone else is just as inexperienced as him is the pick. Look, tell me something different. Tell me something different. Tell me something you don't like. Yeah, like my goodness. And then the thing is look, I get it. Trey didn't play this year. Cool, different. Why though? With the Zach's only played 1 year. You know, nobody ever brings up the fact that Zach faced like the worst defensive. I think it's like average as far as opponents. Nobody ever talks about that. There was only one real game where he really got hit.
He had a fantastic offensive line. No one talks about his own line.
So that's what I was going to say. Coastal Carolina is the only game that I watched where he actually was hit, and Coastal Carolina was like, you know what? Let's make him feel it. We're going to hit him.
That was a fun-ass game. That was one of my favorite games of the entire year.
Easily. Coastal Carolina saw their moment, and they were like, let's mess up the Golden Boy. And I'll tell you what, I like the way he responded. I did like the way that he responded. No matter what you think about how the outcome was, I like the way that he was getting hit, and he kept getting up. That showed me something because he was not getting hit before that. That's always been my fear. Justin Fields faced Indiana, Northwestern, and the hardest defenses in the league. Nobody wants to bring that up either, man. It's again, I don't know what it is. I think I know what it is. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's just the narratives are just killing me right now, man. They're so easy to poke holes through because they're not thought through. That's the thing. Everybody, there's no quarterback U school, and everybody produces busts until they don't. Right. And now Clemson is quarterback U, right? Because of Watson and then Lawrence, right? So now whoever the next guy is, he's next. You know, you're gonna run to him too, right?
Well, and that's one of my favorites to use whenever someone says like, because when I was posting early about Justin Fields, even when we didn't have a chance at Justin Fields, I just was met with bust. He's an OSU quarterback, so therefore he's a bust. That I'm just like, how can you like confidently put that, like type something out with your name next to it and be like thinking you're putting out an intelligent comment when you look at some of the people who have played for your own team? Arguably the best player to ever play in the NFL, Jerry Rice, the GOAT. Mississippi Valley State.
What?
Not Mississippi State, Mississippi Valley State. Like, what are we talking here? Like, just scout the players. Just scout the players. Just
like, can I? All right. So look, we're almost like at an hour or two. This is a great discussion. Yeah. I could talk all day. Yeah. Can I kill one more narrative? I've been one more narrative.
We're gonna kill one more narrative before we end the show.
Let's kill one more narrative. The Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields narrative.
Ooh, I love this one.
Okay. The percentage of throws behind the line of scrimmage and close to the line for Dwayne Haskins, nearly 60%. Justin Fields, 45. Downfield throws, Justin Fields leads that by a wide margin. Stop confusing. They're not the same. Stop that. It's lazy. It really is. It's annoying. So it pisses me off. Stop telling me that Cardale Jones is the reason that Justin Fields is not going to be good in this league. Stop it. Just stop. And remember,
you know what?
You're talking heads. You're talking heads. One more thing. You're talking heads last year. This is your draft coverage. Stephen A. Smith. Dwayne Haskins is a runner first. I don't know. The man runs an 8-4 flat. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse or whatever. An 8-4 flat. Like, the man cannot run. But these are the people you listen to. They're not paying attention.
Right. And half these people that are reading off teleprompters, they're not writing their copy. They're reading copy that someone else put in front of them. They're a talking head, literally a talking head. They see some words scroll on a screen and they read it. And because you can tell there's no actual logical thought process before. And again, what I was going to say was, how can you hold Terrell Pryor against Justin Fields?
Are they anywhere near?
How can you hold Braxton Miller against Justin Fields? Those dudes were both wide receivers playing quarterback at the time.
How can
just because that they came before, they're like, oh, that he's the same guy. Oh, he runs a 4.4. Oh, he's put him at wide receiver. That's wild,
look,
bro.
Bill Polian said Lamar Jackson needs to be a wide receiver, unanimous MVP. Look, I respect so much of these people, and I know that. I understand that. But sometimes, man, they don't know what they're talking about, man. And honestly, I would implore anybody who is trying to get into this like we are, as far as like, draft analysis, just trust yourself. Honestly,
Always
listen to yourself. Don't let anyone contaminate your thoughts. Don't let anyone, change your views. If you see something on film and you see something that you have a concern, then that's your concern. And I'm not going to kill you for that. But regurgitating and spitting out narratives that are absolutely false is probably the worst thing that you could ever do. I will be wrong on my own merits 7 days of the week. I'm good with that. But me spitting someone else's stuff out and then being right, that's worse. Yeah.
Dude, I'll never forget. And I use it all the time. Like when I was first started doing this, I'm about 10 years into this game. This is like my 10th or 11th draft class that I've scouted. So back in the day when I was first getting into this, there was someone with a player that I thought I liked with a perception that matched what I've already felt. And I just read it. I trusted the guy, and I was like, yeah,
yep.
Let me go put it out there in the interwebs. And, again, not trusting myself, which I already did trust myself, but it was just a lazy situation where I was like, that already kind of aligns with how I thought going into this. So, and I trust him. Yeah. So I got my ass burnt because that player turned out to be cheeks. And I went back and I watched the tape and I was like, damn it.
You could have seen this coming.
If I would have watched the tape, I would have seen it immediately. And it was a blessing in disguise because since that moment, any opinion that you get about a draft prospect is coming from my brain. Like, good. We like guys, like people, like what I will say though, what you can do and how you ingest this content is guys will present guys to you that maybe you haven't watched yet.
That helps.
Like Daniel Jeremiah got me on Greg Newsome. I didn't know who Greg Newsome was before he put him in his like top 50 or whatever. And then I was like, all right, let me go watch Greg Newsome. I freaking love Greg Newsome. I think he's probably one of the best cornerbacks in this class. And I'm trying to see if I got the stones enough to put him at number one now. Like that's where I'm at with Greg Newsome and how much I really like him. So that's all I would say about doing like kind of what we're doing. Like at the end of the day, people can clue you into certain guys and certain things, but still go do the research on your own.
Trust your eyes.
And then use certain things. Like when Chris Sims came out and said some certain things about his technique, I didn't go, oh, Chris Sims is telling me certain things about his technique. I believe it. Now I'm going to go regurgitate like Justin Fields has bad technique. I went instantly to the tape. I went instantly to Justin Fields' tape and just started hunting and sifting through that specific thing he talked about. And I'm like, look, here's so I saw instances of what Sims was talking about with the footwork, but what I saw more, which was the norm, was that he was executing the proper footwork and technique. And that the thing that he mentioned was an outlier rather than the norm. So then again, I came out and said, Sims, stop it. I said, stop it, Sims. Like there are some things that like, Jordan loves to talk about. We love to talk about the elbow. We love to talk about how high that thing gets. Mm-hmm. And it's true. He put me onto that. I'm like, okay, I see it. And that to me, I look at that as an opportunity that you can refine the throwing motion. You can bring the shoulder down. You can make minor tweaks to make it more efficient, cut down the timing in the process for a quick release. And you can make that better. But to me, that's a situation where I'm like, why are we knocking a guy for something he can improve? He can get better at that. You can coach that. You can train that and do all those kinds of things. So again, it's just you can allow people like us, and especially like us, because like obviously these guys are listening to us, and we would love for all the people listening to us to go and do their own tape study and come back and tell us, hey, I want to watch the tape. And you know what? I actually disagree with you. Then we're like, oh, now we're having a conversation.
I'm good with that.
Now we're having a conversation.
Yes, right, I'm good with that. Right. Like at least tell me something. Oh, tell me something
you heard this narrative from this and that narrative, and you're throwing it in my face constantly. I'm just like, you've disqualified yourself from the conversation.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Well,
It
I
is what
think
it
you
is.
should. I mean, this is a good. We could talk all day, but I think this a good way to label this episode is dispelling narratives. I think that's the best thing that we can call. I think that's what we really did.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're hitting about an hour and 20. It's probably a good time to wrap it up. This is kind of fun. Like I got a little. You got me
Kinda.
all hyped up.
That's
You
it.
got me all hyped up on the narratives. I'm like, ooh, let's go. I'm ready.
It's
I
time
could.
to dispel some narratives, man. I'm tired of it. I don't like to yell on Twitter like that. I just post what I post. But if you guys, like I said, if you want to have a real discussion with me, please make sure that you understand all of those finer points that we talked about when we're talking about these guys. I will respect anybody's decision, to rank whoever. Again, it's my opinion, and
Right.
I'm not getting paid to do anything like this. I'm not the general manager, none of that. It's just what I see. It's just what I see is more in tune with what's really going on than the narratives that are being put out there. And look,
Always.
is anybody bust proof? Nope. Nope. But
Yeah.
point everything out objectively. Look at everything down the middle. And then you come back to me and you tell me what you think. And if you make a good argument, I'll listen to you for sure, man. Eric Davis being in the chat, man. This is so cool, bro. I swear to God, man.
Dude, Edie's a freaking legend, bro.
Yeah, man.
I was so hyped to talk to him today, bro, because we've been going back and forth for years on Instagram. So that was dope. We might have to get a try box in here or something, because
Oh, man.
Edie got game, and he tells you exactly like it is.
His
Dude,
interception against Dallas, like I can see it clear as day. Like, because, I remember all of those years of just Dallas and the 49ers back and forth. And that right after that interception, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. Like, this is it. Like, they're finally going to do it. And they did, they went up 21-0 in that game. And that pick is always what I see. I always see 25 with his ball in the hand, and he's wearing those sick red 94 jerseys, and he's just bolting for the end zone.
Hey, ED, hey, use your power and your leverage to get us some 94 throwback jerseys, bro. We need those.
Please.
Get us those for the culture.
For the culture, for sure.
Come on. But yeah, dude, Edie's the best, man. So I think Jason's going to be coming around here, especially with a lot more stuff. We got a lot to talk about, and we got a lot of opinions, and we watch the tape, we break it down, so we have original opinions with how we feel about this stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun as we keep going from here on till the draft. So really excited to see what else comes of this. But I appreciate you joining, Jason.
I appreciate you, man.
Where do we follow Jason? Because Jason is. Let me say this real quick. Jason is quickly becoming the mayor of 49ers social media. He's going to be the one to bridge Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. He's going to bring us all these content creators together and just make us this harmonious group of people that just talk about the team that we love. But where do we find the mayor's content? Go ahead.
Yeah, follow me here on IG. You can check my YouTube channel, which is in my link is in the bio. Like I said, this week we had Jaquaski Tart and we had Guy Haberman. Tomorrow we're bringing Al Sacco from 49ers Web Zone on.
Nice.
And on the YouTube, for people that have followed me on Twitter, you understand that I pull together those roundtables sometimes where I get all the heavy hitters from 49ers Twitter on there. So follow me on Twitter at Jason Aponte 2103. Here J Aponte 2103. And yeah, follow the YouTube. The YouTube, if you hit that notification bell, it'll let you know when we go live, when Newsprint Right Option podcasts will come out. And, I jump on lives with people, who give me their time, sometimes. So yeah, just a lot of content, and it's a beautiful time. And we're moving, man. And it's going to lead up, to a live draft show while I'm in Cleveland. And yeah, man, I mean, just the content, man, like, Brad, you and I talk about cream rises to the crop. Put your head down and work, and then the rest will take care of itself. That's kind of where we're at with it right now, bro.
Hey, we're grinding, and Fog City Niner on YouTube has dropped the official hashtag Jay the Mayor.
Oh my God.
I think it's fitting. The mayor of 49ers social media, Jason Aponte. Thank you so much for joining me, bro. We're going to keep doing this. And again, we're just going to keep grinding and grinding and grinding. I think we're on the verge of something here. So we're just going to keep working, and we'll see where it leads us. But until then, we have plenty of talk about until the draft. Again, I appreciate you hopping on, brother. I hope you have a good night.
You too, man.
All right, brother.
Later, man.